Don't put away the kayak just because winter is here. The latest issue of our Kayak Fish video series has plenty of hot action and tips for cold water success, including a paddle deep into the Okefenokee Swamp with Chris Funk that turns up topwater bowfin action and more alligators than you can count. Join Robert Field on his extreme kayak fishing travels and get down to the basics of catching fish in the stormy cold water months with Jeff Little as he connects with smallmouth and crappie. And settle back by the fire for some southern comfort from Chef Funk's broiled fish and creek bank taters.
My very first adventure to the Okefenokee Swamp and Suwannee River, I felt connected. Like I'd come home, you know, in a way. I know it sounds corny, but man, that black water just, it calls to me. I love taking new folks down there, and this trip I was blessed to be able to take my good friend Rob Kyle. He's also my fishing partner. The water was extremely low. They're going through a bad drought, but the bowfin and the jacks were hungry, and the other critters were very active. We saw more giant gators than any other of my previous trips to the Okefenokee. But like Sam Elliott's character said in The Good Dinosaur, if you ain't afraid of a croc biting you on the face, you ain't really living. I've never had any massive issue with the big lizards down there. You know, just they'll scare you a little bit.
He wasn't happy.
As long as you give them room, I mean, I definitely keep my head on a swivel when I've got a fish on. That splashing kind of wakes them up and they want to come see what you got. And they'll steal a fish from you in warmer months.
The hook ain't even facing in the right direction.
What we chase is the bowfin, and folks call them trash fish, but man, I love them fish.
Good fish too. You got your grabbers handy? Look how pretty that fish is. Oh, there's a fish. Oh, that's a decent fish too. Oh, come on. Oh. Easy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh. Coming in, guide us.
But it was awesome being able to take my buddy Rob down there, who, you know, knows the bowfin well, and I mean, he gave me a lot of tips. I've been fighting these things and chasing these things for years, but some of Rob's knowledge really opened my eyes on and increased my hookup ratio. They're mean, they're strong, they pull, and they hit all year long. I mean, what else could you want from a fish?
There he is. Oh, that's a cover right there. On camera too. Oh, he come off.
About this time we decided our hooks were dull and our shoulders were sore. It was time to head back to camp, rest up for the next day. The next day we were going to go to the seal. The Suwannee Seal is a man-made dugout canal, and it's actually how they tried to drain the swamp back in the day. Thankfully they were unsuccessful, but it's actually the headwaters to the Suwannee River, which is a beautiful place to fish.
We came down here to fish the Suwannee and fish the Okefenokee, not wade them. When you tear off wading into a spot and see a set of gator tracks that's as big as your feet and wider than your shoulders, it makes you think twice about wading in that place. It's been an awesome trip though. We've caught a pile of bowfin, a few monster jacks. Rob even lucked up and caught a catfish.
The chain pickerel, they call them jacks down there, You know, but you definitely see more of them on the sill and on the Suwannee than you do out in the main swamp. What an incredible place, even with the low water. Even with the swamp in my rearview mirror coming home, I'm looking forward to the next trip. You know, it's a blessing to be able to share it with good friends, but that place definitely is where I belong.
Solid, bro. See it, bro? Nice jack. Nice fish, man. Another king. Nice, another solid king. That's the second one of the day. Woo. Oh man, I was riding that huge wave. I was riding it fine, everything was going smoothly. When I got to the bottom of it, it broke behind me, dug the nose of the kayak underwater, and I flew out. I have never had a kayak left unattended in the surf here in Texas that did not flip on its own, but somehow this ProFish Reload stayed right side up. Woo! Little excitement at the end of the day.
We're chasing the easy life. We're chasing the sun tonight. We're chasing the easy life.
Hiking in this morning to a fairly remote pond. I need to use the carts today to get to it. We're going to be targeting, depending on what part of the country you're from, crappie or crappie. I grew up calling them crappie. Right, I'm one hand paddling, just kind of creeping along. And I do not have my line in, it's just hanging there. And what I'm doing is just continually looking at the depth finder. See if I can see. Yeah, that's a fish that's suspended. What I really want, what's really worthwhile, is when I get a bunch of those in one spot and I can let the line down slowly. Really are pretty fish. Look at that purple iridescent on them. That right there looks like a school of fish to me. So what I'm going to do is backtrack a little bit and see if I can get back on them. Hopefully I can go straight back, nice and easy, and find that group again. Please show up. The back straight up. There it is. Okay. Starting to see the edge of it. Opening the bail. Jig's dropping. Put that line down.
Oh, there's the school.
Yeah, we're getting some good ones now.
All right, trying to put the jig on.
I had to keep moving around to find the school. Eyes on the depth finder. It's a lot like the jigging I do for striper on the bay, except just on a micro scale. You know, you got to find them, and then you got to drop a jig on them. And in this case, it's this little twin tail walleye jig with a little eye on there. Actually, I made this with the Do It mold with the owner 5318 hook, and I put the little eyes on there. So, all right, let's see if I can't drop them down on another one. I've gotten off-centered, and I'm just tiptoeing with my paddle. Bait's not in the water yet. This one I actually saw come up. I was bringing the jig up and he came with it. I could see my jig on the depth finder coming up and then another mark coming up with it. And I kind of stopped my retrieve, bringing it back down, and, you know, let it sit there a second, and the rod loaded up and there he was. So, all right. Lots of them in one spot. When you find them with that jig, all you want to do is drop it down till the line stops moving. And then I can see the fish here. I've gone through the school, and then I'm gonna pop it up and then just kind of shake it in place. Just kind of like you're, almost like, hey, it's cold out here, just shaking it like you're shivering. And all it does is make those little twin tail, that jig, just dance in place, and that's what they seem to like.
Extreme Kayak Fishing hosts the premier offshore kayak fishing tournaments in the world. They figured out the perfect blend of fun and competitive atmosphere. These well-organized events feature huge payouts and tons of prizes in killer locations like South Florida and the Bahamas. Target species include kingfish, grouper, Spanish mackerel, tuna, snapper, dolphin fish, barracudas, and even sailfish. The trail is run by Joe and Maria Hector, two individuals whose passion for the sport is impossible to miss. The captain's meetings and weigh-ins for these events are second to none in terms of organization and amenities, and they're simply a blast no matter how you fare in the tournament. So if you're looking for the ultimate kayak fishing tournament experience and a chance to catch a fish of a lifetime, head to extremekayakfishing.com and register for the next event. I will definitely see you there.
There he goes! Sailfish! It's sailfish! Woo! Yeah, I got color. Fish on! That was incredible.
It's not your typical kayak fishing trip. Kayak fishing in paradise.
Look at those teeth. Today we're using a single point access on the Susquehanna River. I'm out with my buddy Jed, and the storyline for today is wind. Here's the app that I'm using, and it's got a wind graph, and what that shows here is sustained over 23 miles per hour, and these little arrows, if you look at them, they'll show you the direction of the wind. We're having it out of the, looks like 23 miles out of the west northwest, and what we're going to do, or what we've done to combat that, we're actually in a mountain gap here, and I'm getting blasted by it. It's not real bad right now, but what Jed has done, he's actually, that is the northwest direction, that's the direction it's coming from, and he's tucked up into that shoreline, and he's fishing where there really isn't that much wind at all. So figuring out, you know, a big structure like a mountain or something that will block the wind for you is a good idea. All right, first fish on. I'm actually using something that I don't have to really feel the bite in order to catch the fish. It's a suspending jerkbait with some fine wire hooks. And that fine wire hook really just helps it so, that's a nice big one, helps so that I don't always have to feel the bite of that fish. He latches on there, that little hook goes in him, and I got him. And that's a real tentative bite, which is very common for fishing this time of year, that you'll get a bite that you won't really feel that well. So let's take a look at a couple of tools that I have on my kayak that help me maintain boat position. The first one is really a lightweight paddle. Now I've put a little bit of a pool noodle and some duct tape there just to tell me where the center of the paddle is, so that when I start one-hand paddling with the fishing rod in my hand, I get my elbow on there and really start applying some force. And what that's going to do is to swing the nose into the direction of the wind. When you point into the direction of the wind, it doesn't hit you broadside and it doesn't push you downstream as much.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Pharaoh Kitchen. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to broil some fish. Now for our seasonings on our broiled fish, you can go out and figure out whatever kind you want. You can make your own, you can buy your own. Sometimes we use a little bit of Old Bay. This has been our favorite lately. It's a Red Lobster type seasoning, Red Lobster seasoning. But this is really good. It's not overly salty. It's got a good flavor to it. It's not a whole lot of heat to it. So we like this one a whole lot. Of course, I'm also going to touch it up with a little bit of lemon pepper. Citrus and fish, hand in hand. Now, the other thing we're going to do today is do our creek bank taters. Now, I haven't showed you all this yet. You know, we like taters in this family, and this is one of our favorites. We do it pretty regular. It's a camp staple. So y'all watch this one. It's very easy to do when you're out camping. Very good. Gets rave reviews with everybody that's ever had it. So y'all stay tuned. Stay with us. The first step to broiling your fish is to dry it a little bit. You don't want to have wet fish going in underneath the broiler, or it's not going to brown up any. It's not going to get any pretty color. It's going to be just kind of gray, white, gnarly looking. Not what you want to be eating. So remember, set it out, get it to come up a little bit to room temperature so you're not putting cold fish in there. Let it dry a little bit so you're not putting wet fish in there. I'm going to put these on the tin foil and then season them up. You'll see what they look like next. I'm going to sprinkle the seasonings on now. It may look a little heavy to you, but remember I said this stuff isn't salty. Not overly salty anyway, so you can have a little bit of a coat on there. But remember, I'm not seasoning the other side, so this is only one-sided seasoning, so you want to make sure you have enough on there. I'm going to come right on top with the lemon pepper. And this stuff smells good already and ain't even cooked. Now we're going to be broiling these on high, probably about 6 inches from the element. Generally speaking, a rule of thumb is about 10 minutes per inch of fish. Now these are real thin fillets, so it's not going to take that long. The best thing you can do is watch them, and then if you need to, put a fork in there and flake it out, see if it's turning good and white. You know, that always helps, because that way the chef has something that he has to sample. But you know, don't be afraid to reach in there and see if it's getting done. But that's the best way you can do, is just to watch them. Don't necessarily go by a time. Keep your eyes on these because you don't want to burn them. All right, while we're heating the oven up, I'm going to go ahead and start on these taters. Now, these are yellow taters, but I've done this with every tater known to man, and it's been great with every one. I'm cutting them up with big enough pieces. We like to dip them in sour cream, stuff like that, so I like to have a big enough piece, but the main thing is just getting it thin enough that it'll fry pretty quickly. They actually got their name from my daddy, who as a boy said they'd go, you know, off fishing and holler out a spot on the creek bank, build them a little old fire and fry their fish and fry their taters right there on the creek bank. So that's how creek bank taters got their name, and it's been with us ever since. Alright, while we're bringing our oil up, now we're shooting for 350 over here. That's what I want to drop them in at. I'm going to go ahead and season these. Now, this is, you put way more on here than what you think you need, because it's going to lose a lot in the frying. Alright y'all, just hit 350. We're going to go ahead and put these in. Now watch yourself, because they will splatter up on you. Don't want to get you burned. Don't crowd your pan on these. I'd rather do 2 or 3 cookings and end up with crispy taters than get done with one cooking that nobody wants to eat. So remember that tip. Alright, while the last batch of taters is finishing up, I got the broiler hot. I'm going to go ahead and put these in. It's about 6 inches or so from the element. Just keep your eye on them. Alright y'all, the taters are done. You can see how they browned off, and they've got just a little bit of crispness to them. Another tip is don't just pile them all on one plate. You know, try to keep them separate too, because that way you've got them, they'll drain out, they'll keep that crispness, they won't sog up. This plate was a lot higher, but I've had a gremlin named Ethan that's been coming in here snatching a few of them. So, but I promise you the same thing will happen at your house. Alright y'all, the broiled fish came out just like I like it. It's a little bit brown, it's got a nice texture to it, but this is just like we like it. This stuff is awesome over some rice, couscous, stuff like that, but we love it with these creek bank taters. I wanted to show you all that recipe as well. When you make these, serve them a little bit of sour cream, because they're really good for dipping. They're a perfect size. Like I said, it's an awesome thing to do in camp. They're really easy to do just over your fire in camp, so this is something we do regular when we're out in the tents. So hope y'all like this, and like I said before, I may not beat Bobby Flay, but I can beat being hungry, I promise you that. Thank you for watching. Y'all take care.
I'm on a 6,000-mile road trip exploring the Pacific coast from San Diego to Seattle, with a goal of knocking out as many new species as possible from my kayak.
And I'm catching fish like this. Yeah, I got color.
So come along as I fish both freshwater and salt and meet new kayak anglers along the way.
Yeah!
I'll also be sharing behind-the-scenes footage of detours, wildlife, sampling the local flavors, and cooking up a variety of fish.
Woo!
Look at those teeth.
Man, he's strong. That is too cool.
Oh yeah. Oh, what a gnarly looking animal. Fish on.
Yeah, I got color.
Nice.
This is Field Trips with Robert Field.
What? Whoa! Whoa!
Big fish of the trip so far.
Yes! That was incredible. Look at that. That was insane.